In this video, we take a look at the top 5 features coming your way in SAP Analytics Cloud. These include Horizon Theme, My Metrics for KPI Monitoring, Seamless Planning Updates, Schedule and Process Management for Factory Calendar, and SAP Analytics Cloud Performance Content Model and Audit Table Sizes. Hi, my name is Orla Cullen, and these are your What's New updates for QRC4 2025. In this release, we are excited to announce the introduction of the Horizon themes in SAP Analytics Cloud, a modern, cohesive visual language aligned across SAP's product suite. The new set of themes include Horizon Morning, Horizon Evening, and including high contrast in white and in black. After QRC4, you will see a pop-up indicating the availability of the new Horizon theme. I can simply click Switch to Horizon to enjoy the new experience. The entire UI has been adapted across all the functionalities to the new themes. For example, if we go to a story, we see that the story viewer has been adapted, and as we open the story, we also see the story view time and design time has been aligned with the new theme. Opening the file repository, we see it has also been updated with the new UI. You can easily switch between themes with the new updated user preference. To enhance the user experience, we now have a bigger screen, allowing easier navigation through different options. When we select Appearance, we can easily navigate from the current Horizon Morning to Horizon Evening, and the theme will be instantly adapted. We can also change to Contrast White or High Contrast Black. As the administrator, we can also change the default theme for all users in the tenant. We go to Administration, select Default Appearance, and change the theme for the entire tenant, for example, to Horizon Morning. A much anticipated new feature is the introduction of My Metrics, formerly known as Watch List. My Metrics allows users to create lists of metrics that they want to monitor, analyze, and share with other stakeholders. Under Customize, the user will now see that they have an additional card called My Metrics, and that it can be configured to on or off. Within the metrics tile itself, the user can select a metrics list, which could be either a private or public metrics list. I can then simply select a metric that I'm interested in viewing. We are then taken to the metrics module, which has 3 sections. On the left-hand side, you have all the corresponding metrics that are associated to the metrics list, which are coming from different stories and different data models. We have the detailed visualization that was configured at the time that they added the metrics to their metrics list. And then we have the insights that are dynamically generated to the corresponding metric. I also have the ability to continue to find additional insights by simply right-clicking on a data point and selecting Smart Insights. On the left side, I have some additional interactivity. For example, I can switch between the different metric lists I have access to, or the user can simply sort on the data, for example, from A to Z. Under the 3-dot menu, there's additional configuration options, such as the Show Difference As, where I can change from percentage to absolute, where all metrics are then dynamically updated. On top of that, we wanted to ensure that My Metrics was themable. So as I go into my settings and change the appearance from Horizon Morning to Horizon Evening, I notice the entire metric list dynamically updates. I can then simply navigate back and all the content updates once again. So how do I create a metric? I go to my existing dashboard and either right-click on a visualization, such as a chart, where I can add the visualization to my metrics list, or I can right-click on a data point and also click on Add to Metrics. This takes the entire filter context over. And also, if there's any existing comparison that has been pre-configured, this will also be propagated. To configure the metric, we have a metric optimization to show me how rich the metric is. I can click on Edit Metric Details, where I can open a metric dialog. Here I can further filter down my data or completely update the comparison. For example, as I remove the metric or the comparison that's applied to the metric, we will actually showcase the comparisons that we retrieve from the visualizations or ones that are suggested based on the data context. I can simply click on one again, and it is dynamically updated. The next step is to configure the detailed visualization. By default, it comes directly from the original metric, but you can also add some additional configuration. We then click Save and the metric has been added. As we navigate back to my metrics, we can always jump back to the original story to continue the detailed analysis wherever required. Seamless planning was announced at the beginning of this year, and we are now thrilled to announce the release of live versions that bring fact data into planning models without replication. Let's see it in action. We start with the view in DataSphere for sales actuals. I navigate over to my story and see that I have a plan, forecast, and an actual version. And the actuals and the forecast versions are currently blank. I want to integrate this actuals view from DataSphere into my sales plan model. You'll see that I have saved this model in DataSphere, and this view must exist in the same place as my models. When I connect the external data source, I can use the existing version or create a new version. I select the actuals and point to the specific view that I want to use as a source for the external versions. When I select my sales actuals view and map the fields in the source view to my model dimension and measures. So I've got my sales revenue measure. I'm going to map that to the column sales revenue in the source and do the same for my month, my product, and my region. I click OK, and what I notice is that now in my data foundation layer, I see the version actual with a live connection, and also I see my data. And under my external live version sources, I have sales actual view, and I can change the mapping if needs be. I then save the model and go back to my story. I refresh my story, and now I see that I have actuals for 2024 and Q1 of 2025 in my actual version coming from the external view in DataSphere. I don't have the ability to modify the actuals directly, but I can use them as a source for operations such as copy and paste. For example, I could copy my actuals for 2024 to my Q1 forecast in 2025 and make any additional changes. I can also use my actual version as a source in a data action. I have a seed forecast data action that's going to copy Q1 of 2025 actuals and the rest of the year from my plan in 2025, thus blending the forecast from my actuals in 2025 and the rest of the year from my plan. Staying with planning, we also introduced the ability to schedule calendar tasks and publications based on working days. Here I have a model called Working Days, a purpose-built model to define the working days. In my date dimension, we are working off day granularity. I filter out the other attributes and see that I have this attribute calendar working days, where I've defined either a 0 or a 1. This needs to have a prefix starting with cal_working_day with a text length of 1. And I fill that with 0 or 1 to reflect whether it's a working day or not. If I navigate to the start of November, I have a working day on the 1st, and the 2nd and the 3rd are non-working days, and then I have 5 working days in a row. I can use that as my peg when I navigate over to the calendar. Over in the calendar, I have one task already set up, and I can visually tell which days are working days. So grey areas means it's non-working and white is it's a working day. And in the Gantt chart settings, I have this ability to toggle on or off the display of the working day calendar. Now if I select the year, I can see a little more clearly working and non-working days. And next I want to schedule a data action, and I'm going to create my data action of copy plan. I add the recurrence and I set the recurrence based on working days. For example, we can run it every 3rd working day, and we can start on November 4th and run it for 4 occurrences. When I create this, I then see the instances of this task in my calendar staggered to every 3rd working day. Here in my story, I can schedule a publication, and I have a similar option where I go for recurrence. I have this ability to define it based on a working day, in this case the 1st working day of the week, and we start on October 15th. I add myself and it will run for 8 occurrences. For administrators and system owners of SAP Analytics Cloud, maintaining a high-performing and stable environment is a top priority. So in this release, we are delivering a new story in SAC content designed to give you the transparency and control you need to manage your SAC tenants' data footprint effectively. Starting on our newly designed homepage, we navigate to the Performance tab and select Model Size Statistics. Here is the story we use to analyse the statistics. At the top, we see Input menu bar, where we can select the model, dimension, and data category. Below we have our key KPIs giving us an overview of what is happening in our tenant, including things like the total record size in the tenant. Below that, we have the analysis pane showing us the top 30 models by size. We could also switch this to dimensions in the left navigation panel. And we also see the largest record count by data category. Scrolling down a little, we see over time how record count is increasing and also the number of input jobs and version publishing events by date. We can also go deeper and get a breakdown by specific model, and this filter is passed through the rest of the charts. We can investigate that publishing events on September 16th caused a spike in total records in the data category audit. Thank you for joining us to learn about some of the top features coming in the Q4 2025 release cycle of SAP Analytics Cloud. Check out the video descriptions for more links for resources about this quarter's update, and also remember to leave a like on the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with everything SAP Analytics Cloud. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.